Hi, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day. It is, of course, the 14th of February here in Australia and New Zealand, those of us on the progressive side of the date line. For those of you on the other side, it will be tomorrow. And I just felt to share my thoughts on love because, just like Christmas can bring up for people the sense of not having kin and family, Valentine's Day can really shed a light on where we're not happy in relationship. Perhaps if we're single or newly separated, or if we're with somebody that's unresponsive or undemonstrative with their affection, it can really bring it to a head. So I think it's important for us to question our perception, of love and relationships on this day, because let's face it, this was a day of the rebel. This was never about Hallmark cards and chocolates and overpriced roses. It was about a saint that was marrying couples when it was still illegal for couples to be married, and that was instigated by the church. So, this is a day of rebelling in the name of love. Yeshua, who you might know as Jesus, the Greeks renamed him, he was another rebel of love. So Gandhi was another one. People that follow their heart, the heart is what gives us courage. And as I film this, we're coming up to the full moon in Leo. And Leo is the sign of romance. It's the sign that is governed by the heart and by the sun. It gives us the courage to act on our feelings, on our feeling function. So I see this as a day to celebrate being grand or big of heart, big-hearted, and daring to follow the courage of our heart's calling, whether that's to express our true feelings to somebody and risk rejection, risk looking like a fool for love, or whether that's to do what our heart is calling us to do, our true passion, our true calling, even if it doesn't resonate with those around us and might alienate people. This is about our commitment to our heart and ensuring that we are following our heart no matter what, knowing it will lead us home. So it takes courage to live with an open heart in a cynical world. And the reason our world is cynical is we've been very mind dominant. So the heart chakra or energy center sits above the rational mind energy center known as the solar plexus. And these energy centers were once known in Tantra as the eyes of God. So as we open these vortices, these windows of perception, we're able to see in a more aware, more multidimensional way and appreciate the nuances of life, not just see it in black and white, which is how many people have viewed life, myself included, during our early life, during the Piscean age, because we were indoctrinated to see everything through a dualistic lens of the mind. You're either sacred or profane, male or female, good or bad, and so on. So when we are operating in duality like that, we're in a place of judgment. Everything is a judgment. We quickly categorize it and dismiss it. Whereas when we're in the heart, we're able to stay open to that which we don't agree with necessarily, in a place of accepting what is. All right. So if we're fighting what is, fighting our current reality, I don't want to be single, right? Then we are creating suffering for ourselves. We are creating inner torment, inner conflict, because we're fighting what is. We're projecting a story onto it and saying, I don't want it to look like that. It's not fair. So that creates war, all right, and conflict within us. But to be in the heart, to live from the heart with an open heart, requires that we process our feelings, that we dare to feel what is coming up for us. And that might mean feeling our vulnerability, feeling our anger, some of the taboo feelings, okay? And the more that we stay connected to our feeling function, which is the heart, the more we're available to the gift in each moment, okay? In other words, if we shut down the heart, we can't embrace the present moment. We can't embrace the bounty, the opportunity in each unfolding moment. And so our feeling function is what makes life worth living, all right? If we shut that down, we literally are turning off our ability to experience joy and happiness. So the reason for that is that when we close this down, because we don't want to be sensitive, okay, we're trying to shield ourselves from feeling, numb ourselves from feeling, we're not present to the hurts, but we're also not present to the joys. And we end up being trapped by the mind's incessant chatter of the monkey mind, which is based on fear, okay, and constantly evaluating everything as a threat or not a threat and dismissing it. So that keeps us in a state of dis-ease, all right, of constantly being on edge, looking for potential threats. And we can't enjoy what's happening moment to moment if we're in that state of hypervigilance, yeah, looking for danger. So there are a sort of three opportunities in living from the heart. The first is to accept what is happening, all right? Because the more we reject it, okay, the more we deny what is actually happening, the more suffering we create for ourselves. And that doesn't mean condoning bad behavior or allowing ourselves to be continually exposed to abusive behavior, but rather accepting what you cannot change. Okay, so that may mean, well, I can't change that person's attitude or behavior towards me. So what I can change is my choices in this. What are my choices? So the more that we accept we can't change the externals, we can only change ourselves, the more we take full responsibility for what we can change and listen to that quiet wisdom of the heart, which is always one of self-honoring, self-love, asking what would love do, okay? How can you be kinder to yourself? And the more we do that, the more we set boundaries. If we're hopeless at setting boundaries, limits with others for fear of what they think of us, for fear of rejection or being ostracized or judged, that is a measure that our self-love is very, very low. So the more self-love we have, the easier it is for us to speak our boundaries with others with grace, coming from a place of self-love, self-honoring. And in the ancient world, the archetypal energy for women that was able to do this was known as Ishtar. This is the Babylonian name for Venus. And she was half warrior goddess and half goddess of love. And what that shows is, rather than the princess or the maiden who's seeking external love, yeah, do you find me beautiful? Do you think I'm nice? And that keeps us in always trying to appease and please everybody, which is disempowering. Ishtar is the archetypal energy that has been to hell and back. She has descended down to see herself, warts and all, to see her shadow so that she can accept herself, warts and all. And then she doesn't need the acceptance and approval of everybody else. She's therefore the queen of herself, her own domain, her own sovereign. So then She can set limits with people based on her self-love, her emotional intelligence, and psychological maturity. So how do we get to that place? Well, in the ancient world, women would undertake a 7-step initiation path called the Descent of Ishtar, which meant the descent of Venus. And it was a 7-step journey to meet the 7 feminine aspects that together map our female psyche. And when we understand ourselves, we can be more accepting of ourselves, both our light and our shadow aspects at each one of those 7 energy centers, because there are 7 feminine archetypes, which are psychological aspects, and they each govern one of these 7 energy centers. So when they're each empowered, we feel like a queen. We have the confidence to be able to honor ourselves in our choices. So the second thing we can do to live in an open-hearted way and stay available to the bounty of love is to appreciate what we have. So doing a gratitude practice every day, writing down 10 things that you have to be grateful for and really feeling the gratitude, and ending your day by reflecting on the highlights and feeling your heart literally fill up so that that vessel in the heart runneth over with gratitude. And the more that we appreciate, the more goodwill, the more good fortune, and the more love we attract to us, like the universal law of attraction or reciprocity, you know, like attracts like. Similarly, if someone does us a good turn, a favor, the more we express our gratitude sincerely from the heart and really appreciate their efforts, then the more they feel, oh, I'm loving giving. Okay, it feels wonderful to give. We're giving them a gift back. So it becomes, you know, self-fulfilling in a sense. The third thing we can do to live with an open heart is to bless what is, even when it's challenging. So if you're having struggles and we're all being, you know, put through our own set of unique challenges, then by blessing our challenges, it helps to open up the intuitive guidance that shows us what our lesson is. Because the sooner that we identify the lesson, the sooner we can get off the groundhog, you know, doing the same lessons over and over again and just not getting it, okay, the sooner we can transcend the challenge and move on with grace. So if you want more grace and less struggle, bless the struggles that you have and seek to find the lesson in it, the blessing in it. So, you know, ideally, I feel Valentine's Day is an opportunity to look through the eyes of the heart center, to look through the eyes of love. You know, I've started wearing pink rose-colored glasses, not because I want to be idealistic or naive, but because I want to see the world through the lens of the heart, through a place of acceptance and appreciation. So, you know, as a collective, this is something most of us haven't been conditioned to do. You know, we've been conditioned to see everything from a point of duality. You know, we projected onto the divine that the divine would judge us as good or bad. We even as children had it put upon us that Santa Claus would judge us as good or bad. So all of this creates an inner split within the psyche where we strive to be good in order to get love and feel this shame about the parts of us that we feel are unlovable. So it's only through doing deep shadow work, going and looking at the parts of us that we maybe haven't even explored, okay, the uncharted terrain in our psyche, and getting to know these parts that are underdeveloped, unexplored, so that we can appreciate them and then love all of who we are, not just operate out of a very limited range of who we are thinking that's what's going to meet with approval. So, you know, the more that we strive to be perfect in order to get love, the more it's a flag that we are judging harshly the parts of us that we think are unlovable. And what happens then is we attract to us people that mirror that judgment. So we may feel rejected for the parts, and this just anchors even more, gee, I've got to hide those parts. But you know, if we see a young child playing on the beach, they're completely unself-conscious. And so our challenge is to return full circle to innocence, to not feeling self-conscious, to not feeling bound up, you know, tortured by our own mind that we are unlovable. Yeah. We have had that put upon us like a heavy cloak, this idea of original sin, or that we have to pay penance, we have to earn love, but it is an aberration. It is not the truth, it's an illusion. We are divine. That is who we are. So if you'd like to know more about the ancient pathways to self-love, which in the ancient world, you know, before anybody could take vows to honor another, they had to take vows to honor themselves. And they did this through the Descent of Ishtar for women, or the Descent of Orpheus for men. And that's a path that I lead men through during when the sun is moving through the sign of the awakened man, Ophiuchus. So that's much later in the year. But for women, we start this journey the new moon just prior to the equinox. So it's coming up. We start the journey on the 28th of Feb, and the registrations are now open. So if you'd like to know more, I'll put the link in this description. But in the meantime, there is a free video series which I'm sharing today to celebrate all things to do with love, knowing that self-love is the absolute foundation and cornerstone of every relationship we have. So if you feel that you don't have enough love in your life, then this is an opportunity to fill your own cup, okay, rather than walking around with an empty cup hoping to have it filled by another. Because if we're operating in that mindset, it will leave us needy, okay, codependent, more prone to infatuation, to unrequited love scenarios, you know, painful crushes where people don't know we exist, or compulsively seeking oracles to find out whether or not someone likes us. But, you know, really tortured, painful scenarios. This is not true love. True love is not unrequited love. And that's something I speak about more in my latest book, The Grail, which is available now on Amazon. So check out the free video series, The Path to True Love. The link is in the description. And I hope that my words today in some way speak to your heart and help it as a healing balm. So blessings, regardless of, you know, whether you celebrate this day or not. Every day is an opportunity to embody love, to be love, and first and foremost to show that compassion and that generosity of spirit towards ourselves. Okay, thanks so much for tuning in. Ciao.